Welcome to episode 4 of the Slightly Fuzzed podcast. Shout out to 10,000 Years on this episode. Their single Gargantuan Forest is on the Slightly Fuzzed playlist on Spotify, and you can get their album 2, which is out now. Up next, we have Shane McConnell from the Dregs Records.
All right, Shane McConnell from the Dregs Records. Thanks for being here.
How's it going, man?
Good. I feel like we have a few things in common, and the first being we both do some design work. I don't know if you consider yourself a graphic designer at all or not, but your Instagram is awesome. All the pictures are very consistent, and they have the same look and feel to them. I love it. I love looking at everything you guys post, and they might be on completely different, separate topics, but they all look the same, and I love that. So the next is we both love craft beer, and I think that you had a career in craft beer, so you're probably taking a little bit more serious than I do, but we both love beer, and we both love heavy music. Again, your project seems to be a little bit more legit than mine, but we both love heavy music. Where we split now is I'm told that you had a brief boot modeling career.
Yeah, that's actually how I can fund the label. That's funny. Yeah, so right before COVID, so for the day job, I install draft systems for bars and breweries, kind of all up and down the East Coast. We'll go anywhere people will pay us, but it's just been the East Coast, and so we kind of have a reputation doing really clean work, attention to detail, all that stuff. And I got reached out to by a company called Wolverine. So they're more known for like the high end kind of $400 to $600 boot range.
Yeah, they're good boots.
Yeah. And so, but they also have a working line of boots as well. And so they hit me up they needed contractors who work in the beer industry. So I fit that pretty good. So I work in construction, for 40 to 80 hours a week during the week. And then,
How did they come about finding you?
It was actually kind of funny. So there's a person whose job is to find people. That's literally all they do is they find people. But for mine was by chance, just they hit up. So they were looking for someone in Boston specifically, which is also kind of strange. And so they hit up their only friend from college that still lived in Boston. That person had a friend whose boyfriend worked at a brewery. So they forwarded the email to their friend. Then she forwarded it to her boyfriend being like, hey, do you know anyone? And he was like, oh shit. Yeah, I know Shane. He works in beer and construction. He'll be a great fit. I'm not like a super good looking dude or anything, but they wanted me to be a brand ambassador for a year. And so, I went down to, they had me come down to New York, do like a photo shoot and an interview, like a recorded interview, and then like a press meet and greet type deal.
So this is like super legit. This isn't like an Instagram. We're going to send you a boot and you put it on, take a picture.
Yeah, so I technically get free boots for life.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. But so during the fucking press release thing, they did one of those, like, we're just going to come around the corner with a giant fucking check. So like I had signed up to do the gig for $3,000 was the initial, hey, we want you to come down to New York, all expenses paid, but we're going to give you $3,000 for a weekend of work. And it's like work. I did maybe 8 hours of shit, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, $3,000 for 8 hours? You're going to drive me? Or I took a train to New York. I was like, hell yeah, this is amazing. And then, they like turned the corner with a fucking $15,000 check. And they're like, here you go. So,
wow. That's way more legit of a story than I was expecting, but that's awesome.
Yeah, I like freaked the fuck out. So like, I'm the only person in the room that looks like me. Everyone else is like PR people.
Uh-huh.
all I remember is just like, don't fucking say anything, because the only words coming out of your mouth right now is holy fuck, holy fuck, holy fuck, holy fuck.
Yeah.
And they don't want that. And I was like, yeah, so it was, it's fucking wild. But yeah, so.
That's crazy. So enter $15,000.
Yeah.
Therefore, you decided to open a record label. Is that basically what happened?
Yeah, I mean, I bought a motorcycle. I bought some other stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I spent some of the money.
Yeah.
But it was mostly like by the end of where I got like the things that I was looking to get, I was like, well, I don't have enough for like a down on a house or anything like that. Especially in Boston, it's like insane. And so I had gone to a local show just at like a music studio, and I was like, what? Like, the band that was playing, they weren't signed, and I was like there are unsigned bands that are really legit.
Yeah.
And I'm curious as to why, you know, what's the reason, you know, for them not being signed. And then went to that concert. Like a couple weeks later, I'm in a concert in Canada for a reunion show for a band called Barn Burner. And I drove up to Montreal for that show. And at the end of the show, I was like talking to the band. I was like, hey, you know, I drove up to Boston, you know, to come out here, yada, yada, yada. I was like, been a fan for a long time. First time seeing you guys, though. And they're like, well, you should have saw us before we broke up as a band. You should have supported us, you know, before we broke up. And I was like, fuck, you're right. Like, you know, I wasn't really putting in what I could have.
Right.
And, you know, so seeing the bands that are unsigned that have potential, having the means to support bands in ways that I never thought I would ever be able to, you know, really show support for something that means a shit ton to me. And then Chris from Bridge 9, he was doing an AMA on Instagram. And I just hit him up being like, hey, what would you tell anyone who's thinking about starting a label? And he was just like, do it right now. Don't wait for anything. Don't complicate it. Just start it right now. He's like, I started by selling T-shirts outside of Fenway, you know, like all of Bridge 9 in the beginning. That was all Sully's brand, you know, T-shirts. That's what paid for all those records. And so he was like, don't wait until you hit a certain number or like, you know, the certain people. He's just like, just start now. Figure it out. You'll learn. He's like, don't make stupid decisions where you're going to kill yourself before you get off the ground, but actively start it now. Don't wait.
Did you know anything about like the business side of it? Because like I worked for an association management company for a number of years, and we put on big conferences every year. And after years and years in it, you know, I knew how to get sponsors, how to get exhibitors, what you needed to promote the event. You needed the venue. You know, what kind of marketing promotion went into it, and what kind of signage you need at the event, you know, name tags, all that stuff. So I got this idea that I'm like, I'm going to bring like a small dark beer festival to town. It's always summer beer festivals. I want to do like a winter thing, dark beer. Sorry?
What town are you in?
Rockford, Illinois.
Okay. Awesome.
And all the festivals I always see are summer stuff. So I'm like, I'm going to do this. I know how to do it. I'll figure most of it out as I go, but I'm pretty sure I can do it. And I got a venue kind of. I went and talked to them, figured it out. Big ballroom, hotel rooms, you know, porta potties, a food truck. I had kind of my branding that I created kind of ready to go a little bit. I put some calls into breweries and potential sponsors. And then it got to the point where it's like, all right, the next step before you do anything of any of half of that is, you know, you need to get an LLC at the very least. You need to get licenses from the city. You need to get permits. You need to get, and I was like, fuck all this. Like, I'm going to go start an Instagram where I draw dicks on people's album covers because that seems way too hard. So did you know like any of that as far as like running a business, or were you just like, I like music, I have a check, I'll figure the rest out?
I mean, it's a little bit of that. So the day job, so the company's been around for just over 5 years. I was the first employee. And then like literally the week before COVID, I got cut into ownership. So I own part of that company now. And so with that comes the connections of like one of our business partners is like a fucking mega lawyer. And so I was like, hey, like, let's sit down and talk. And it's funny because whenever I interact with him, it's always party. And the dude's basically Seth Rogen. And it's fucking hilarious. But the second I was like, hey, like, I'm thinking about starting this thing, it just was like, suit goes on. And he has just hit me with so many questions. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I started an LLC, just for protection reasons.
Right.
And it's not very difficult. It's $500 and paperwork that takes maybe an hour. If you're doing it by yourself, maybe an hour. If you have a lawyer or someone who can walk you through it, it's like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, not really knowing like too much of the business side, just from like the innate, like kind of entrepreneurial spirit that I have.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a lot of projects. Like I ran a podcast for a brief second, and always just like I like the pressure to learn stuff. So like I don't know shit about running a label. I never ran a fucking label, so I learning as I'm going. And I'm very upfront with all the bands that I work with. Is hey, like we're kind of learning this together. And I'm a human, and we got to be fucking cool about that. But
right.
Yeah, kind of keeping everything on the table. I'm not trying to like swindle people saying I'm like some crazy label head or some shit. I'm just a fucking dude,
Yeah.
If you want to put out some music and it works out, like let's fucking do it. That's the kind of vibe of the label.
Did you feel like you were starting it because you were going to be able to offer something that other labels weren't? Or did you look at the competition and see like some blind spots? Or were you just like, I like music, I want in somehow?
Yeah, I mean, so like I love music. I fuck around with the bass. I don't play the bass. I hit the string and I put it through a pedal and it makes loud noises. That's as far as I know. So I know that like I was never going to be able to be in a band or anything like that. And so, yeah, kind of craving a way to get into the industry in some fashion. And then also just kind of my personal like philosophies on, and like being able to start a business with, like I put the band first when it comes to everything. So like the deal that I give every band is literally a 60-40 split. Band gets 60, I get 40. After I recoup on the initial cost. But industry standard is kind of 50-50 if you're lucky, and then it gets worse for the band after that. Yeah. So, that's part of me. I don't, I'm not some crazy, mover and shaker. So yeah, of course the band should be getting more money than me. They're making the damn product, and also, it's not like they sign with my label and now they're huge. It's like, no, you're still fucking working. Yeah. And so, yeah, kind of being able to offer that, to all the bands has been pretty, I don't know, to me that's super important, that, essentially the employee making more money than the employer, just because I have the cash to upfront something doesn't mean I deserve more than.
Are there labels doing that? Did you find inspiration from other labels that were doing that? Or are you like a pioneer of this?
I mean, I would assume that not really many people are doing it. I kind of got my number. I follow Bacon Bits a lot. He's got a lot of really good music industry stuff. And I was even following him before I decided to do the label. And I was actually using what he was saying to apply to the day job. And because I run the social media account for that as well. And so like I was using his music business advice for social media to implement for my, beer related, Instagrams and stuff like that. So, he kind of talks about like what labels typically offer for like indie stuff. And I was like, well, I can just undercut that because this isn't my job. This is never going to be where I make money. Besides what I put in, that's the only money I'm taking out of this. Every dollar earned just goes right back into this to build it. So like, this isn't going to be my job literally ever, because this will never pay more. I'm not making crazy money on the day job, but this isn't going to pay more than what the day job is, And so I'm not kind of stressing, where I feel like other labels might play it safe or, do that kind of stuff. I get to just do whatever the fuck I want, Like, I get to talk to the bands that I want. I promote bands that aren't on my label. If I think you're doing awesome stuff, like if I'm going to a show, I go to all the shows that are in the genres that I listen to, and I'll post when the bands are playing and stuff like that, and I'll tag them. And, I always am curious if the other labels are like, hey, what the fuck is this guy doing promoting my band? But I just like the fucking band, dude. Like, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about that a little bit on this podcast already, is just this scene seems to be super positive and seems to really help each other out more than I've seen in other music. But also, like, I followed the graphic design community for a lot of years.
Yeah.
And I did not see that at all. I mean, still, even just with Slightly Fuzzed, like, I'll follow other designers and be like, that looks great. That t-shirt you did was amazing. And crickets. I'll see them comment on other people's comments or like other people's comments, but mine they're like, no.
Customers, right?
They don't look at me as a potential client, maybe, or they look at me as some sort of competition because I do some design stuff, and I'm not really sure what it is. But even before all this, the design community just didn't seem like that, and this stoner metal, whatever, seems to be way more helpful, positive, uplifting to each other.
Hi, man.
Yeah.
Designers need to fucking
everybody's so positive, man. Yeah. So you signed, your first band was what, Bog Wizard? Is that right?
Yeah. They were the first band that I signed with, which kind of ties into something that's kind of important to like my, I don't know. I used to play D&D like in high school and shit. And so, them kind of mixing, there's like other bands, obviously like stoner metal and doom and all that stuff. They flirt with it, but they're not like, yeah, fucking D&D, whereas like they are. And I was like, oh, that's pretty rad. And I had listened to From the Mire, and I was like, wow, this is a great album. And then, so I go, oh, I'm going to buy the record. And then I go on the Bandcamp, no record. And I was like, hit them up. Hey, you doing this anytime soon? And they're just like, oh, probably not for this one. I was like, well, if you want to, I'd be interested in putting it out, and starting a label and putting that out. And so now we got pre-orders up right now, and we're hoping to get those shipped actually next week. So yeah, very excited about that. That'll be my first wax in hand.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So
very. And I just saw today. It'll be a week from now when this is released, but I saw today that Sauna is recording.
Yep. Yeah. So they're in the studio today. It's funny. Today, Sauna's in the studio, and then Empty Black's playing a show.
Nice.
So for me, this is like a fucking awesome Friday.
Hell yeah.
Just kind of getting to see them do all that stuff. But yeah. So
what's the deal with Sauna in the van? They record or they perform, or what they do? What do they do in the van?
They do everything in the van.
Okay.
So they recorded the EP. So they're at the same studio that they were for the EP, but they're actually recording inside the studio this time. But for the EP, they just pulled the van up outside the studio and ran the fucking cables outside the windows and ran them to the vans. There's like a little mini documentary on YouTube about it. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. And I love that. I was a fan of Sauna before we had even talked. I had the record. But yeah, so I'm fucking stoked for new Sauna. It was cool when they hit me up being like, hey, like, are you taking bands? I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like a band that I really like. You think of like a band that you really like hitting you up as a label, like way down. not the second band that you're.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, even with this podcast, like I've had bands that I listen to send me a message and be like, "How do I get on the podcast?" And I'm like, "You mean this podcast that no one listens to yet? You want to be on it?" And they're like, "Hell yeah!" And I'm like,
"Yeah, man,
anytime, of course, that's awesome." And I think part of that just goes to like, bands just wanting to get their shit out there to people and kind of being desperate for that opportunity. And it's like I said, I mean, this is a brand new thing. I don't know what I'm doing. No one listens to this thing, but people are still reaching out to me and being like, how can I get on? And that's insane. Yeah. But it shows that I think that people want more opportunities to get their shit out there,
For sure. And then also it's, it's like the people who follow me might not follow you. And then the people that follow the band that's on next, they might not, and so over time it's gonna build. And especially I feel with like music, and since you are being so open, I feel like this will grow naturally pretty fast. Whereas like a lot of people are kind of that gatekeeper mindset where they're like, oh, I only take people of a certain image, or you know, and it's just like, yeah, if you're, willing to talk to everyone, then it's kind of the industry standard for being successful is getting yourself out there,
Right. I've been lucky that people have kind of seen through the goofiness of the Instagram. Like it's a lot of just immature humor and goofy shit on my Instagram, but I still get people to send me messages that are like, I get a lot of like good music recommendations from your Instagram. And I'm like, are you sure? Mine? And they're like, listen, the jokes are funny. The dick and fart jokes are funny, but I know that you only do it.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, they like look at the album after.
Yeah, that's what it all comes down to, is like you saw through that, you laughed, but you saw through it, and then you still went and checked out the real band anyway. And that's been pretty cool because people do see through it sometimes, and they say, I get tons of music from your Instagram, and I'm like, that's kind of the whole point. That's awesome, Yeah,
that's fucking rad.
Yeah. So then Empty Black is the last one we haven't really talked about. You said they are playing tonight. What's their plans for future music? They have a couple singles out, right?
Yep. So they have 2 tracks out. And then we have an EP coming out. I mean, that's way down the pipeline. I mean, we have deposits in, but the record production is a fucking shit show, as everyone knows. So I'm not going to, beat that, horse. But yeah, so that release will get vinyl, and it will also be on tape, which nice. I'm now accepting a little bit more. When I first started, I was like, vinyl only, that's all. I don't listen to tapes, so I was like, why am I putting out tapes? It's not who I am. And
why do people listen to tapes? I don't quite get that yet. I at first I saw like big bands do it. Like, I mean, like kind of as like a promotional thing. Like, isn't this cool? We did this tape. Remember those? Yeah. But now it seems like people are actually like seriously putting music out on them.
Yeah.
I don't know where you can get a cassette player at this point. I mean, I haven't had a cassette player in 20 years, so.
Yeah, man, you gotta do it.
I don't even have a CD player at this point. My computer doesn't have a CD player. My car doesn't have a CD player.
Yep. Yeah. I think so. The only reason I started with the cassettes was Sauna. They approached me. They're like, we want to put this out on a cassette. And for them, I was like, this makes sense. Your fan base owns the oldest fucking vehicles on the planet.
It fits their image for sure. I mean, when I saw it was like 2% Sonic or something, right?
Yeah, 2%.
When they put out that cassette, I was like, that makes so much sense. You're a van band, and these vans for sure have cassette players.
Already in there, and that's where I was like, yeah, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But I think the cassettes are kind of coming back because I think there's a resurge of people buying older cars. Like people who weren't into older cars are now buying older cars. I mean, the price for a shitty van is through the fucking roof because everyone wants one.
But the sound can't be very good on those, right? Cassettes. I mean, I get why vinyl came back. People love the sound, but how does cassette sound compared to like CD?
I mean, cassettes are definitely under a CD. I mean, so like I'm not an audiophile. I've gone to way too many shows with no earplugs to even try to contend in that category. But I mean, they sound good. There's no, I haven't done like a side by side with like a digital versus the vinyl versus the cassette, but I put it in and, it sounds great. I don't know. It's a novel thing, and I do think it is a vehicle kind of based thing.
That makes sense.
Retro is coming back. You can't put a record in your fucking car, unless you have one of those old school. They actually had fucking record players for cars, which is insane. I couldn't imagine that sounding fucking good.
Yeah.
But I think it is like a neat, your friend comes in your car and you're like, hey, you pull out a little fucking crate full of cassettes, throw one in there,
It is rad. I love the whole idea of it. And the van thing has definitely got to be a big part of it because, the whole van thing is a big part of this music. I mean,
oh yeah.
Most of the bands and labels and stuff that I follow are like, here's some music, also check out this dope van. And it's like they go hand in hand for some reason, smoking weed, riding around in the van, something about the whole thing, the whole culture that makes sense with the cassettes though.
Yeah, so I just started doing liquid light shows, and my plan with that is all the money I get for the light shows, I'm gonna just buy a van with the money.
Nice.
So yeah, like my next big purchase is gonna be a van.
Wait, are you gonna like just get an old one that looks awesome, or are you gonna like buy one and fix it up new, or what are you gonna do with it?
I mean, I'll buy. So my I'm not gonna have a budget for this. It's gonna be. I'm gonna buy a shitty van, just like I got a fucking shitty Harley. That's the thing. I'm not fucking riding easy. I don't have a fucking $30,000 van. That's just not gonna ever be my shit. That's not who I am. I don't know. But so it'll be a shitty van. Am I gonna work on it? Probably not. Will I repair it? Probably. But it'll probably stay pretty shitty. At least the first one will definitely stay shitty. Also, you're not supposed to drive them in the winter because they're already rust buckets, and with the salt on the road and stuff like that. For me, they suck. My van's gonna suck, so I'm gonna drive it in the winter. I don't care. I'm not buying a van to drive it. 5
You're
months.
driving it to park it. You park it, and that's where the fun is.
I'm gonna. It's gonna be a vehicle that I use. I don't have unpractical things.
I almost traded my truck in high school for a old shitty van. I was driving down the road and it was for sale just on the side of the street. Mm-hmm. And my truck was semi-new. It was my dad's, and he got a new vehicle. He gave it to me. I was like 16. It was like my first vehicle. And it was worth at least like 20 times what this van was. And I didn't have any money. It wasn't even really my truck. But I pulled over and I was like, I'll give you this truck if you give me this van. And he's like, dude, you need to talk to your parents about this.
Yeah, your ass gonna get fucking murdered.
he would have murdered me for sure. But I wanted it so bad. It was such an awesome van. And now, thankfully, he didn't let me do it. But at the time, I was like, I think this makes sense.
Yeah, right? No, it does not.
So tell me about the liquid light shows. You alluded to that a little bit. But what are you doing with those? And how did that start? How did you start doing those?
So there's an Instagram account, Heavy. It's Heavy Clothing. So he does liquid light shows. I saw a post that he put up, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And I started looking up into it. So it's basically you're using an overhead projector. Think of like elementary school. Just little platform with the arm with the, shoots light.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And you're just using like a convex clock glass. Like think of like a grandfather clock, like the giant clock glass. Mm-hmm. So you get that, put some oil in there, put some water in there. Oil and the water don't mix. Now you can dye the oil in the water. Those colors now don't mix. Then you get another smaller piece of clock glass and you can put that in there. Now you can fuck with the liquids. So that's how you get things to move around. And then you can put liquids on that piece of glass. And so now you get light color combos through the glass. But when you're moving it around, that liquid moves around. So sometimes you only get the colors from the bottom, and then sometimes you get them when they mix through the top. And then you get a second projector. Now your head's going to explode because there's too many combos of shit happening. And
since it's done on an overhead projector, can you put like a band's logo on first and then do it over top or something?
Yeah. So what you can do, just getting like a transparency sheet, you can just print on it And yeah, I haven't booked. I've done one show live, but I'm in the process of getting my pricing together and stuff like that and approaching venues. But yeah, so like I could just slide in, band's logo, and I could keep the band's logo up, kind of like the idea of like a banner.
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't look as good for long term just because it's not a flat surface, so it would distort the image. But before the band goes on, you could throw that on, give something to everyone, and then they walk on stage, stuff like that. Pull that transparency out. You could throw like crazy design transparencies, and you can get them where it's like the same pattern but like spirals. You can move them like separate. So I guess like kind of think of my fingers. So if it's like this, you can start to like get crazy trippy effects, and because they're black, so the black erases the light coming through. So if you have two projectors, all that black, now the color from the other projector just shines right through. So it allows you to also eliminate some light color blending and stuff like that.
So what's the live show like? Did you do it with a band playing, or was it just you solo? Like,
yeah. So Mother Iron Horse, they did a private show for 50 friends. And Marco, he's one of the guitar players. He's got a wood shop, and so he emptied out the wood shop, packed that place with bodies. And it was also like the hottest day of the year too. Yeah, so they played a live set, and I was off on the side. I only had one projector at the time, and and it was a weaker projector. Since then, I bought two new projectors that I have like 6 times the amount of power now. But yeah, it came out well. They had people filming it, so there's the whole live set is there, and it looks great. It's actually kind of funny because the only times I've ever done the projections were I'm standing behind the projector looking at what I'm projecting onto.
mm-hmm.
But due to the space, I actually had to stand on the side of the projector, and I was drinking and smoking and shit, and standing on the side, because it's all mirrors, right? So normally, if you press down on the glass, it lights up the bottom part of what you're lighting. And then if you pull back, you get the top. Well, when you're on the side, all those angles change. And I was fucking not in the mindset of fucking knowing where I was doing. So I didn't get to watch the show at all. I just was staring at the projector for 45 minutes and just, this looks cool on the projector. Hopefully it looks cool on the fucking screen, and hopefully it works with what's happening, Whereas like if I can watch, singer goes crazy, I can like focus on him. Guitar player's flipping out, I can swing the lights over that way, But my head was down the whole time. So I was like, oh man, this probably sucked. And everyone was like, oh yeah, this is great. And I was like, yeah, I bet. Yeah, you're just saying that, And
it is cool for a live show, though. I mean, that's a cool element to add in to the whole thing.
Yeah, no, you can really up like the value of a show for very little money this way. Like you get the effects of like a stadium concert with all the moving lights and shit. It's fucking thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that the venue has to now get. I roll up with 2 overhead projectors. So far I've spent, I don't know, maybe like $500, and now I can put on a super dynamic lighting show, like with color changes and shit moving around, and it's fucking trippy as hell to watch.
Well, it's cool for like a kind of a music video. Maybe you could turn it into like a lyric video or something too. Because I saw what you recorded and put it on your YouTube, and I had no idea how you did it or how it was recorded, but it's just as cool in that music video medium too. It's just as cool
and that's also like a way that I can interact with other bands that aren't on my label, because I'll do a music video. Like my pricing for a recorded video is $10 a minute. That's it. And then you get that video forever. It's HD, and it's to your music, so what I, with that, I listen to the song twice and then I throw it up and just go, and whatever happens. And, so that video on my YouTube, that's one shot. The whole, So if I mess up, it fucking sucks, and I got to redo the whole thing. But
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a cheap way for bands to get video content up. A music, like an animated music video or something like that.
For sure. And like I said, lyric videos are a big thing now, where like their first single, if they don't have the budget for a big music video, they do a lyric video, and it's pretty inexpensive to add, some text to a video in Premiere or some program. So it's like, you have a cool background from you, and then someone puts text over it. You have a lyric video.
Yeah, I can even put the text on, because I'm using Premiere to edit these things. But it's been fun.
That's cool. So what's next for the Dregs Records? Are you looking for more bands? You looking to what's next for the whole thing?
So I don't look for stuff. It's just if I catch something that I'm super stoked on, then that's what it is. We are gonna kind of pump some brakes in some regards, because Bog Wizard is in the process of mastering their new recordings. So we're working on a release for Bog Wizard. Sauna's in the studio today, so we're working on that as well. And then we're not going to see the vinyl for Empty Black for fucking 6 to 1,000 months, and so so having 3 deposits out, being self-funded, it's very limiting. So what I'm doing now is the kind of game plan moving forward is do a cassette release with the digital release.
Can I make a recommendation for a band?
Sure, yeah.
There's an album called Radio Gnome Invisible by a band named Gong.
Gong?
Gong?
Yeah, Gong?
Yeah.
Yeah, from their 60s, 70s.
Radio Gnome Invisible. Do you know that?
Yeah, they got a song called Pothead Pixies on it.
Yeah.
I'm fucking addicted to that song. I found it like a week ago. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, that's why I recommended it. Bog Wizard actually told me that you
Dude, I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm fucking addicted to that band. It is, smoking a shit ton of weed and doing light shows with them is a trip.
Yeah, it's pretty wacky stuff, but I thought I would see what if you were.
Oh man, you had me for a second. I was flipping out. I was like, no fucking way. That's fucking good.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so funny. But
yeah.
Oh, and also I'm looking into there's, I think it's Red Spade Records. It's this woman in Canada. She does lathe cut records. So I'll hand cut one at a time. She doesn't know yet, but I'm gonna be reaching out to her to do super limited stuff for the bands that I'm going to approach at this point. It's all going to be kind of, 25, maybe 50 for the releases, just because her lead time's way shorter. It's a really awesome thing that, I'd love to be able to support. And that's, it's cool. I don't own any lathe cut records, so I'm really excited to kind of just own one. But so I'm excited about trying that out too.
Cool. All right. So what we're going to do next is a version of Real or Fuzzed that I've played on a couple of these podcasts.
All right.
But for you, I made a special one.
And
it's beer related instead of album related. And you have to tell me, I'm going to put up the beers one by one. They're all metal band related beers.
Okay. And I have to tell you if they're real or fake?
Real or fake. Real or fuzzed, as we're saying here. First one.
All right.
This is from the Sword. It's called Ghost Eye Oatmeal Stout.
I would say this is Fuzzed.
This is a real one.
What? I've never heard of Real Ale Brewing. Where are they from?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
They're from Texas, though, right? They're from Austin, so maybe it's a Texas brewery.
Maybe. All right. Well, I mean, that's cool.
I'm glad I got you on at least one, because I thought maybe you'd be really good at this. Being a good eye for design, beer, and metal, I thought I was screwed.
All right.
This is from the Age of Truth. Ale of Truth.
I'm mostly going off of like what's the fucking brewery? Oh man.
It doesn't say the brewery, it just says that it's brewed in Philadelphia, PA.
All right. This one has to be Fuzzed.
This one is Fuzzed.
Okay. Yeah. Because breweries do not put their names on their products.
Good point.
Yeah.
Amber Smash Face from Cannibal Corpse and Three Floyds.
I would say this is Fuzzed because I haven't heard of it, and I feel like I should if it was real.
This is a real one. I drank it on the first episode of Slightly Fuzzed.
Damn, man. I drink a lot of Budweiser, to be real.
Oh, yeah? I assumed that you were like a craft beer connoisseur at this point.
I mean, that's where it started, and I've reverted. I drink like some sours and stuff like that, but I drink like a lot of lagers. There's a lot of good lagers in Massachusetts, but other than that, yeah, it's Budweiser.
I drink a lot of dark, like I said, dark craft beer, stouts, porters, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But if I'm like mowing the lawn, hanging out at the pool, it's like Bud Light all day.
Yeah. Nice.
Kiss, Destroyer.
Oh, man. I got to say this is a Fuzz because I don't see a logo for the brewery.
This is a real one.
What the fuck, man? I suck at this.
Lowrider, Ode to IPA.
I want to say this is Fuzzed as well.
This one's Fuzzed, yeah.
Okay. I was like, Lowrider is tight, but are they getting a beer named after them?
Probably not.
Yeah. Oh,
Matt
that one's
Down.
real. I've seen that one. I'm drinking it.
Yeah. How is it?
I can't remember. So probably good.
Motorhead, Road Crew.
I'm gonna say this is Fuzzed.
This one's a real one.
Damn.
Yeah. They might have two different ones actually, but this is one of the more popular ones.
Okay.
Red Desert, Irish Red Ale.
I would say that this is real.
This one's Fuzzed.
What? I just saw Surly and I was like, oh, I know Surly.
Well, they're from Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. So I picked a Minnesota brewery.
There you go.
And Surly's a little metal too, so I thought.
Yeah, well, that's why I was like, oh, I could see them doing this, you know?
Yeah. Megadeth, Saison 13.
I feel like Unibrew is not this cool. Like, I know like a lot of their labels are like very high fantasy metal theme, but I want to say this is Fuzzed. God damn.
This one's real.
Yeah. I'm going to get fired, by the way, if any of my coworkers fucking listen to this. They're going to be like, all right, you're fired.
Truck Fighters, Booze Cruiser.
I want to say this is real.
No.
How you get the fucking sweat on there, man? The can is sweaty. How'd you do that?
It's what I do.
Jesus.
I make fake things look real.
Yeah, you do. Holy hell.
Yeah, that one was mine. I think that's all we got.
Well, I'm glad you didn't fucking try to trooper me with the Iron Maiden beer that everyone's seen.
I think that, I thought that one might be obvious. The Metallica one too. I don't know if you've had the Metallica beer, but it's not great.
Man, that was pretty good. You're really fucking good at graphic design. Holy shit.
Oh, wow, thanks. I don't know. I mean, I'm good at making other people's stuff look like mine. We didn't really talk about your graphic design skills. I love your Instagram. Like I said, it all looks super trippy and it totally fits the music and it's all super consistent. And you do different things. You take, little like history lessons on one of them and you do just weird stuff. You do holidays, you do your own stuff, promotions, and it all still looks consistent and it looks awesome. Yeah,
when I started the label, I've always been really interested in art. I took a bunch of art classes. I've tried to do all different kinds of art and just never really stuck. But dude, the fucking iPad and the pen and Procreate, the world's yours. Like, it's so easy to learn. And and my first thing was like, you know what? I need to make a color palette. And that's my color palette. And that's the only fucking colors I use, period, the end.
Yeah, and it makes a difference. I don't do that, but like I totally appreciate those that do it. I do
so
too many wild random things to stick to it, I feel like, but I really appreciate when people do, and I love that consistency. And you have kind of like your brand in a sense now, and I love it.
Exactly. And I've kind of skewed away from it since I started doing liquid light shows, because it really doesn't do the light show stuff justice, cutting it down like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've let go of the rule, but if it's not color, like if it's not my color palette, then it's either a meme, which I finally posted my first meme that's not in my color palette, because I was posting memes in my color palette.
Yeah.
And they don't hit as hard. And then liquid light show stuff. That'll be the only other time. Or promo stuff. You know, it does me no good trying to sell you a record if you can't see what the actual colors of the record are, you know? So,
yeah, you're probably right. But,
but the rest of the image, you know, for the rest of the image, I keep that, you know, my color palette, you know?
Yeah.
But
right on.
It's been fun learning how to do it. But there's shitty Photoshop jobs, essentially. That's every post is a shitty Photoshop job.
Yeah, well, that's my whole account, so I get it.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, it fucking works, you know. And I think it's super important, and it has helped me gain kind of a following, I think, a lot quicker than I would have if I hadn't done that.
Yeah.
If I didn't, because I can't afford to pay someone to do all my posts, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is every single post is made. Like, I sit down for hours making every single post, you know. So it's hilarious when, you know, people just scroll past it, and it's just like, no, man, I don't think you understand how much time went into that picture that you just scrolled past.
Yeah.
But,
I went through the same thing with mine. Is like a while back, I asked people in my stories, like, you know, what's your favorite post of mine? I had like 100 posts, and I think 10 people responded, and it was all like this one really simple meme that I made a long time ago of Matt Pike. It was a picture of Matt Pike, and I put some text on it. And that one's everyone's favorite. And I was like, do you understand how much time I put into those fake album covers?
Yeah.
I do like every day. And you liked this Matt Pike one that I did on the couch in 2 seconds?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Sometimes it be like that, man.
It is like that.
Yeah. It's fucking frustrating, but yeah. Yeah. I think.
Oh, wow.
I think my number one liked post is a meme, which, you know, and it was funny because it was a conversation I actually had with my girlfriend, and because she doesn't really listen to this kind of music. And she's like, what the fuck are we listening to? Like, a song had just started. And I was like, and she's like, what the fuck are we listening to? I was like, oh, it's just the intro. Don't worry. And she's like, it's been going on for like 12 minutes. And I was like, it's just the intro. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And she's just like, the fuck? Like, no, it's not an intro if it's 12-minute song. It's like, no, it's a fucking intro. I don't care how long it is. If it's an intro, it's an intro. Yeah. And I did the fucking Chopper Guys meme with those texts of just like throwing the fucking chair. That's just a fucking intro. And it got like fucking 700 likes or some stupid shit.
Yep.
It's like, something that I put like 10 hours into gets like 50. And I'm just,
I know it's exactly like that. Yeah. And like my parodies, I'll draw a dick on something and it gets like 1,000 likes. And then the ones that I sit there and I think like, here's a funny concept. Here's how I'm going to do it. I'll get a new font for this. I'm going to change the colors. I'm going to do all this stuff. And people are like, it's all right.
Yeah. Feel free to not answer this question, but do you buy your fonts?
No.
Okay. Yeah, neither do I. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not making any money for one thing. So I don't think that they have anything to come at me for. But I mean, there's so many free fonts out there that I haven't really had to come across that yet, you know.
Big time. Yeah. No, it's if someone comes at me for fonts, LLC, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people on Instagram that not only steal fonts but steal, you know, content, steal my content or whatever. That like Instagram's the Wild West, man. It's like,
do you get a lot of people snagging your shit? No justice.
I don't know if I'd say a lot, but I've come across like maybe 10.
Yeah.
But
Well, if I ever see that shit, I'll fucking.
I mean, at first I would like comment and be like, you know,
Where's the credit guy?
this is mine. But also I don't want to come across that way. So like, I guess I mean, at the most I should like DM them and be like, do you mind giving me credit for it? But even that, I'm just like, I don't know, whatever. I watermark most of my stuff. So
yeah, that's
if
true.
people really wanted to notice who did it, they would notice.
Yeah.
But,
awesome.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got. Do you have anything else you want to plug or promote or talk about?
Go to shows. Go to all the shows. Go to every fucking show. Doesn't matter. Like your friend's got a shitty band, go to his show. Fucking big players are in town, go to their shows. Fucking buy merch, do all that shit.
Buy some t-shirts, buy some stickers.
Yeah, pre-order, especially with lead times being what they are. Fucking pre-order. Just pre-order.
Yeah.
Not even for me, just in general. Just fucking buy people's shit because, yeah, holy hell. You know, now that I'm like in the other side, I'm like, whoa, yeah, pre-orders are super important.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, but yeah, go to shows. Just fucking go to shows before they get closed down again.
Yeah, could happen.
Yeah, one of the venues in Boston, they're doing proof of vaccination. So, I mean, I feel good about that with people having to provide that. And they're basically, if you don't have it, they give you a wristband, and that just means you got to wear a mask while you're there. But yeah, whatever. But yeah, go to shows. Go to shows. That's
okay.
my thing.
Check out the Dregs Records.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being here. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah. Cheers.